Hey YouTube, this is going to be an odd little video and it'll be really short, but the reason I'm putting this together is because I have a Tower Hobby Sport 60 for Christmas. You might have seen the unbox video. I got that back in August, and the wife told me to go ahead and inspect it and make sure there's no damage, so I did that, and I did an unbox video while I was at it. So I had to get a motor for it. Now I've got a Cobra motor standing by, and I like Cobra motors. I put the Cobra in my Pilatus, I put a Cobra in my Spitfire, and I do like those motors because they're very good quality. Oh, I also have one on, I think my Mini Talon has a Cobra motor. So they're very good quality, they're very efficient, and they make the power that the manufacturer advertises. That's one of my favorite things about them. When you look at the spec sheets for those Cobras, they're really accurate based on battery and prop adjustments that you'll make to that motor. Anyway, the reason for this video is because there's another motor out there called the G-Force, and it's put out by Value Hobby. And the one thing I'll say about Value Hobby, I know they have a name out there because you kind of hear some discussion about their products. And they've got some decent airplanes, they've got some, I wouldn't characterize their ESCs as high-end ESCs. Although I have heard people say complimentary things about some of their LiPo batteries, including my uncle, who's been using their LiPo batteries for a long time. He buys his LiPos from Value Hobby. This particular motor is a G-Force 32. So it is a 4250 800 kV. And that is exactly on par with the Rimfire and some other 32 class motors that I've looked at. So I put this together because there's no information out there. All I can really find are a couple reviews on the Value Hobby website that say, yeah, I use this motor and I like it. I've found a few references to it in RC groups based on, just reading threads. You'll hear somebody say, oh, I'm using a G-Force blah, blah, blah in my plane and I really like it. So very little information out there. And then there's even a comment on Value Hobby's website that says, oh yeah, if you want to, mount the prop this way, you have to get a collet adapter. So it's not crystal clear on their website what you get in the box when you buy the thing. So I ordered it. I'm going to try this thing in my Tower Hobby Sport 60. And it is a 32 class motor spec'd in the instructions for that plane. So this motor is an appropriate size for that plane based on tower spec, And I wanted to show what you got in the box. So you got a prop adapter, this is the bolt-on style, so it's got a washer, a cone-shaped nut. You got the X-mount, the screws, and the screws for the X-mount, and then you get the Allen screws for the aluminum adapter onto that side of the motor. As far as the motor goes, it looks to be a decent piece. I don't see any, I'm not going to tear the motor apart, but I don't see any issues. Like I don't see any machine faults or gouges in the metal, or I gave it a spin by hand and it feels like any other motor. It feels very smooth. It's not ratchety. So I'm going to try this thing out. I'll put, when it's time to build that plane, I'll put it on the airplane and I'll do a watt meter test and I'll post the results on YouTube. But this is just a quick, it's barely an unbox video, but I wanted to put it out there just to give you a look in case you're looking for this type of motor, what you get in the box. And by the way, this is strictly a price purchase. So the reason I'm doing this is because this motor, 30 bucks. Okay? I'll put a couple of screenshots out there. In fact, I'm gonna go ahead and take a pause in a second just to give me some room in the video. But I'll put a couple screenshots out there to show you how much you can expect to pay for this class of motor everywhere else. This has got to be one of the cheapest options I've seen for a 4250 800 kV brushless motor. All right, guys, here I just wanted to pull up and do a little run through of some of the 32 class motors that I'm aware of out there on the internet. So this is the G32 by Value Hobby that I told you about, and this is the price, 30 bucks. It's a couple dollars for shipping, but it's not a lot. It was just a few dollars. Here is another lineup, and by the way, I want to just be clear, I'm not advocating any of these. I'm just showing you what the options are. That's it. I also am not advocating for any of the vendors. Again, just showing you what the options are. So the Cobra motors, I really like these. This is what I put in my Pilatus and what I put in my in my Spitfire. Very good motors, very efficient, very good reviews out on the web. So these are the ones that I use on my more expensive airplanes. So here is a 4120, 850 kV, similar in size and revolutions and power output as the G32. Here's the Rimfire offering, and look, the thing I want you to pay attention to is the price. This one's 30 bucks. This one, 70 bucks, and I've purchased a couple of those. The Rimfires are 90 bucks. And then here's the e-Flite, 75 bucks. Good motor. I have a couple of e-Flites too. I've got a Power 52 that is just a beast, and I've got a Power 60. Very good quality motors in my experience. Here are the Hobby King offers. There's a G32. This one though, a little low on the KVs. It's 200 kV lower than the other options, and as far as I know, that's the fastest spinning 32 class that they've got. And their amperage, when I looked at their amperage calculations, I really didn't like what I saw. I mean, first off, they go from a 14.8 on voltage with a 14x10 prop at 46 amps, and then they go down an inch, and look at that, 6 degrees of pitch for a 13.4. I mean, I don't even know what you do with a 42 class motor or a 42 millimeter motor that's only pulling 16 amps. That's like a paperweight. So anyway, and they only say 3 to 4 cell. They do say max current is 60. So I've never used one of those, although I've seen airplanes that have had them. I'd be interested in comments, and they seem to get good reviews. Also very low price, 33 bucks. Here's the SK3 4250 500. Now I've actually, go look on my YouTube channel. I've had this motor, and I did it was one of my very early YouTube videos, and I did a test showing the power output of this thing, and it was a little lower than I thought, although very stout with a 14-inch prop. You're still making about 800 watts, 900 watts, but that's on 6-cell power. Here's another motor. I've used these before as well, and I have nothing but good things to say about the Take-On motors. So the problem is getting them. Half the time, you go to look for one of these motors and they're out of stock. But the power output on this one, by the way, a lot like what you see on all the others, around 700 to 800 watts. And then here's a Tomcat. This is another motor I've seen out there and I've been kind of interested in trying. It's also pretty aggressively priced, but I just haven't gotten to it yet, to be honest with you. But it's another motor that I think I'd like to try at some point. So there you go. There's a quick little roundup of the 32 class brushless motors that are available out there. And the G-Force by Value Hobby, I'm not sure, it's obviously made in China. I'm not sure, what the relationship is between all these motor manufacturers, but it wouldn't surprise me to find out all these factories were on the same street or even in the same building. At any rate, that's G-Force motor. I'm going to try that in my Tower Hobby Sport, and we'll see what happens. So stay tuned and keep an eye out on the channel for test results when I get this airplane put together. Okay, so there you go. There's a couple of different examples of the motor options out there in this class for you, and that's why I got this one. I'm gonna try it out and see what happens. Honestly, not a lot of good information out there, so I hope that my putting this information out there will be very helpful. All right, take care. Hope you enjoyed the video.